Hey guys, welcome back. I feel like I'm saying this for the third or fourth video, but it's been a while since I made a video. But that's kind of how my schedule's been. It's been a little tight, but I wanted to come back and make a video just, getting back to the flow. But this video, there's not much like learning content as such. There is in terms of like a little. I'll go a little bit over NextJS 14 server actions and form actions. But it's more about a side project I've been working on. But I'll go over the code for that, and hopefully that gets you an idea on how to start with form actions, which is pretty cool because in React 19, it's becoming stable. So, not stable, but I think it's pretty good to you. Yeah, so React 19 is in beta right now, right? So it's getting pretty good to use for different frameworks. Obviously, Next.js already had integrated a few of the React Canary versions, the features onto it. So to, transition into the server SSR or server actions phase. Um, basically for the app router. But yeah, so without wasting too much of your time, I'll get into it. Okay, so oh, I forgot to close my Twitter. Well, actually, now that it is open, shout out to Sadman. He's made a sortable, reusable component. Actually, wrote it twice: sortable, reusable, sortable. Um, but he's made this component with Shatsin UI and DND kit. For people who don't know what DND kit is, it's like a drag and drop npm package which you can use. It's an amazing package, and he's made a reusable component out of it. I think there's also data table for it. So if you look at it over here, so basically you can go over this attrix, etc. And then also data table, and this is also sortable like this. I am not a big fan of the animation which is happening after it, but I think that's more to do with when it's happening with the server action, it's getting the data and then showing it like that. But yeah, it's a pretty good component if you want sortability inside your application. Go check it out. And he has like amazing like if you go to his GitHub over here, he has more repositories as well. I worked with him actually on a repository Shatsin table, which is basically using the Shatsin UI stable component and making it work server side with sorting, filtering, and pagination. It's a good resource as well. I actually have a video if you want to check it out here. Actually, this way. Okay, that way? No, this way. I don't know. But yeah, that is one, and then Skate Shop is also an amazing one. It just has like it's an e-commerce built on top of Next.js app router. It has Tailwind CSS, Clerk, Shatsi UI, Drizzle ORM, React Email, upload thing, and all those things, and also Stripe integration. And you can just go over this code and get inspiration to work on different things. I actually use like a little bit of reference for this when I was building this side project of mine. It's not a side project per se, it's like a very basic thing, but yeah, that's that. So getting into my side project, actually I just restarted this. I should probably restart my SQLite. Yep. Okay, this is my application. It's like a poker chips application basically. It basically like what I'll give a kind of like a backstory. My work term just finished, and some of my friends' study term finished last week or a few weeks back, and then we wanted to play poker, but none of us had poker chips. So the idea was that there's already an amazing application for this called pokerchips.io. You can basically go in there, enter your name, create a room, and then other people, you can send that link to other people, and other people join the room, kind of like something like Scribble if you've used. Yeah, that's the one thing which is coming straight into my head, but it's kind of like that. You send the link to other people join the room, and then here you can, bet or chips, take chips, and all that, and then manage the chips online instead of having to use like physical chips. Obviously, that's it gives kind of a more fun vibe, but then if you don't have it, you don't have it. But yeah, and I thought it would be a good side project to work on, just for fun. And also, there was one limitation with this, is that the default when you create a room is always 1,000 chips. We wanted to change that a bit and then check that out. But yep, this is the application. I'll talk about what it is using under the hood after giving the demo. So getting into it now. So say the first person joins and then creates a room. So say I create the room and then set a buy-in, which is the number of chips when they first buy in, to 1,000. So everyone who first joins the room gets 1,000 chips. Okay. I might have to restart because I just cleared the database. So refresh. Look into that now. Oh yeah. Okay. I just cleared the database. That's the problem. I restarted the server. I swear to God, if this doesn't work. Yeah, okay, that worked. Basically the problem was basically what I did was let me zoom in quite a bit. And then I did this to the SQLite DB, which basically clears the file, but then I didn't migrate or, make the data tables, create the data tables inside the SQLite DB. Yeah, that's the right sentence. So yeah, now that that's done, I restarted the server so that works. So basically, the first person, Kevin, me, has created the room, and it's creating this unique ID. Um, so basically, this person shares the link with everyone. I copied the current URL, and then say I shared that with the next person who joins, and then say, okay, so this the third person joins. The second person, say John. Actually, let's use my instance names. Sorry about that. And then say the third person joins. Okay. So everyone who joins now gets 1,000 chips to start off with because that's what we set at the start. This might not be the best application because there might be a few bugs here and there. Because I was experimenting with a lot of new features when I was trying this. It wasn't really the best code in that way. So I'm not sure if it's the right code. That's the correct way to put it. But basically, this is the application. Actually, let me move, not that. Let me move myself here and show me. Yeah, I guess that works. So basically, say the first person has a small blind. I actually need to improve the slider a bit because it's not the best UX wise. Maybe add like a minus plus button. That's what Poco Chips IO does, and then they still have the slider in case you want to go somewhere. But yeah, say the small blind is 5. The first person puts in 5 chips. Uh, Notice how both of these have 995 now. Yeah, so that works real time, and even if you look at the activity feed, say it says the person put 5 chips. Let me just show my laptop a bit so that I can see the monitor. Say the big blind is 10, and Bhuvnesh bets 10, and then Arjav calls that. So now, if you look at the chips, I think Kaman would have 995, Bhuvnesh has 990, and then Arjav has 990. And say now Kavin calls. Yeah, that would be a 5. Now, I'm just working through a scenario just to give you an idea of how this works. Say now it's Bhuvnesh's turn. The first flop is done. Now Bhuvnesh puts, it's a good hand. Say bets 40. Now say obviously Ajav folds because he doesn't have that good a hand. Now uh Kavin calls, and then the second round happens, and then both of them say they check, and then Bhuvnesh, and the third and the last then the 5 cards are put on the table, and then Bhuvnesh say has a very good hand, says he puts in 80, and then Kavin maybe calls the bluff, put in puts in bets 160, and then Bhuvnesh calls. Now because it is my scenario, say I won. But if you look at the chips now, both of these have 790, and then Ajav has 990. Now, if Kevin wants to, obviously Kevin wants, so he wants to take everything in the pot. So he goes to the take tab, and this has basically 430 chips now. And if he clicks on take, it goes back to the bet tab, and then he can take anything from 1220 chips now, and then that works for everyone. 790 and then 990. So if you look at the chips for everyone, that's how it works. So you can go over multiple rounds like this. More people can join. There's no limit on how many people can join, but usually a poker table doesn't have more than like 8 to 10 people. I think I'm not sure about the number exactly, but yeah, that's kind of how the application is working. It didn't take too long for me to work on this, but it would have taken me shorter if I wasn't like experimenting with server actions and form actions. But that's that. And now I just want to go over the code base a bit just to give you guys an idea on what it's using under the hood. It's obviously using socket.io. I was thinking of using Pusher, but then I don't want to end up paying. It has a very good free tier, but that yeah, and I wanted to make this kind of like self-hostable so that the person can just clone the repository, and then it will be like they could just run, pnpm dev or whatever, and then it starts working. Um, I don't want to start hosting this because the problem with that would be I can't host this on something like Vercel because I'm using socket.io. So the problem with socket.io, you need to have like a custom server file over here, server.mjs, and then it has like this IO code inside this. And because it's a custom server file, Vercel does not support hosting it. Um, because obviously they have like a serverless kind of environment, and sockets don't exactly work very well with that. So I had to create this. Now hosting this would mean getting a something like a do droplet or an aws instance, and then hosting the Next.js app on that. And obviously I end up paying for that, and this application wouldn't exactly get me revenue enough to be able to host it, um, for free at least. But yeah, that was the idea behind making it self-hostable. The architecture, the things I'm using are Drizzle ORM, and it's using an SQLite database. Again, going back to the idea that it's self-hostable, the person doesn't need any kind of database setup in their system. They can just run the application, and it creates the SQLite.db file in the project itself. It's using Tailwind CSS with Shadcn UI. Amazing UI library, highly recommended. It uses all these Radix UIs from Shadcn, Meta SQLite 3 for ORM, all this Shadcn things. Convex, I was thinking of using it. I ended up not using it, but it is there. I can remove it later. Drizzle ORM and Drizzle Zord for validation, basically using Zord, and Lucid React for icons, Nano ID for creating the um, unique ID. And then Postgres, I'm not using Postgres now. I was thinking of using it when I was thinking of hosting it, but then realized um, not the right idea. And Pusher, I was thinking of using it, didn't end up using it. I have to remove all these things, but yeah. Then Socket.io for the real-time rooms, and then Tailwind merge, and these are all Shadcn things. Um, but yeah, I'll just go over what's happening in each page. The first page, the person joins. A lot of it is just server side rendered in terms of using the app router, and then it has a card. The first card when you join, basically, it's not here, but it then has the create room form. Okay, yeah, this is where things get interesting because I wanted to use the form action, but I also wanted Zord validation there before submit it. And then I wanted kind of a easy DX to work with that. Obviously, with form actions coming up, which has already come up, it has become better and easier to use forms, but I kind of wanted to use React Hook form as well. Was it the right idea? I don't know, but then it works pretty well. So I actually took inspiration from um, a YouTuber. Let me look at the, yeah, this one. This is by wait, who made the video? But yeah, I did go over this code base. Hmm. Oh yeah, Jack Harrington. Yeah. So if you go to Jack Harrington, another amazing YouTube channel, he makes videos on React, Next.js, not Next.js specifically, but like React as a whole, and then a lot of good videos. He made a video on making forms with form actions and React hook form and transient UI. I think he's used under the hood, but basically this takes the form component from Shadcene UI, passes the form, which is using use form from React hook form, and then it has this Zord validation inbuilt. So I have this create room schema, which is basically taking the username and the buy-in and has like validation on top of that. And then we're setting default values over here. I'll talk about what this is in a second, but we're basically doing that. And then if there are any issues, show the issues. This is Zord validation issues. And then there's this HTML form. I'll talk about why this is there. Okay, well, there's an action set to form action. On submit, we're handling this form handle submit. The form is set over here. The form dot handle submit runs the handle submit on the use form, and then it runs the form action inside it, and then sends new form data, and then basically sends the ref of the form ref into this, and then the current value for that. And it has the form fields, the username, which has an input, and then form field. These are basically how Shadcene's form work. I actually have a video on working with forms with Shadcene UI, um, which will come up here now. Keep pointing to the wrong direction, I think. Yeah, this is the right one. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how that's working. And talking about this for a second, yeah, form actions. I'm using the use form state, which is if you look at the React 19 docs, you'll get a better understanding of what it is doing. It basically helps you manage states for forms inside the itself, and you can basically pass into it a server action, which is the create room. And if I look at the server action over here, um, I basically pass in the previous state, which I don't need in this case, but it passes into it, and then the data, which is coming from the form. I can, um, pass that data in from with Zord. I have the validation, both the client and the server, important to note. And then just doing drizzle ORM things, creating a room, creating a new user for that room, setting the cookie with the room code and the user ID, and then returning the data back. Uh, Enough validation, I think, to ensure that nothing crashes at least. And then, yep, that's that. And when another person is joining the room, they go to room code. This is the page.tsx. We're checking for cookie room code and user ID from the cookies, if that's coming in, and then checking if the room exists from that. Probably should check if, okay, actually the room code is coming from here. The room is being fetched from here. And then we're checking the room exists, else we just return not found, which goes to the 404 page. Maybe I can create like a custom 404, not really needed for this, so I didn't bother. And then got the user details from the user ID coming from the cookies. And then maybe I could have like a validation over here if cookie room code exists and user ID exists, but I don't think that's exactly needed with Drizzle. And then just got all the users of the rooms and then passed everything into the client component over here. Now, this is where things got a little weird because I started using Socket.io, and then I basically followed this Socket.io with Next.js. I think it's the official documentation actually. Yeah, how to use it with Next.js. I just followed this and it worked pretty well, surprisingly enough. I didn't expect it to. I thought I will have to like do more things, and there's like a library for it as well. But yeah, this works. So you can use this as a reference. And then I have this use effect over here, which basically works with socket. It basically, when the first load happens, if room code exists and user exists, then we just admit that a person has joined the room. That's how you see these join the room. So the person emits join room. What happens with socket for people don't who don't know in a nutshell? What So there's a client and a server, right? Now what happens is when the server basically holds a socket, the socket which is running. Now the person who's a new user who's joining, it connects to the socket using the socket.io client. Now when that person is connected, they can emit different messages which go to the server. Now the server can emit back messages. Uh, I'm not using the right terminology because there are like emit, broadcast, and all those things. But basically, they can emit back, which goes back to all the users, or you can choose which users to send it to. For example, over here we're choosing socket emit join room. Now, in my server.mjs, I'm basically listening for this join room message. Now when join room is happening, which one was it again? One sec. Yeah, I'm sending the room code and the user. So I'm getting the room code and the user, and then I don't need this actually, but it was there. And then I'm joining the person to a new room. Now Socket has this idea of rooms. It's not used in all the cases. In this, it's used because we just want the users who are inside that room to be affected by that particular game. So that person basically joins the room, and then socket.nsp.to basically means send the user connected back to everyone, including myself. So I basically to everyone inside this room, and send user connected message to everyone, including myself, and then send the user back. So what this is doing is, let me actually save this because I made the change, and then yeah, so it's listening for user connected over here, and then setting the message, basically join the room message. I'm sending it to myself as well because I want this message on myself as well. For example, Kavan joined first, then Bhuvnesh joined, and then Bhuvnesh got the message himself as well, and then everyone else got the message as well. So that's what that is there for. And then setting the chips data. This not ideal code, but yeah, this is how it is. And it's basically setting the new chips to everyone who's joined in. So that's what that is there for. And then socket.on basically betting. Now, okay, let's talk about that in a second. But also, there's a cleanup over here. It didn't work without this. Also, I don't remember what exactly this was for, what I was using this for. But I had to set React strict mode to false. Okay, what was happening was every time the NextJS basically on the development server at least, what happens is every time a user basically opens the application, the use effect runs twice. What that was doing for me was that it was basically calling socket.emit twice. It took me like a while to debug this, why that was happening, but basically Next.js is doing that under the hood for different reasons, good reasons. But yeah, I had to do that just to make sure nothing is wrong with my code. But yeah, that's that. And then now, so inside this card, we have different tabs. We have the activity feed and the chips. That is one set of tabs over here. And then the activity feed just has everything inside this activity feed. We're just sending this feed over here. Yeah, we're just, you know, showing all the messages like this. Not too big of a deal. Oh, I'm also passing in the ref over here. Why was it doing that again? Mm, yeah, to do this, I don't think this works exactly right now. I need to fix this, but to be able to do this when new messages come in, I need to put that into every. Oh, that was why that wasn't. Okay, actually, it is there in everything. I need to debug why this is not working, but that's why I was doing this and then forwarding the ref. Oh, also in React 19, fun fact, you don't need to do this anymore. You can just pass the ref into any component. At least I think that's how it is. At least I know form ref is removed, but I don't know how you can pass it on. Something to look into. But basically, it works inside the scroll area, and that scroll area has a max height. Actually, it has a set height using calc, and then also on chips over here, which is also a scroll area depending on how many people are coming in. That should scroll. And then we have a separator over here. This is the separator, and then we have this with different tabs for bet and take with the card footer. Right. So I have the tabs over here with the bet and take. Basically, it sends the bet form and the take form depending on which tab we are in. So in the bet form, we pass in the room code, user, and all those things. It basically, okay, again, the form use the form actions and server actions, pretty similar to how we were working. And then it basically, whenever bet is clicked, it sends the form state. Okay. So I need to ask the people who are looking at my videos, maybe someone has a better idea on how to do this, but I don't exactly like the way this is working because I'm using this effect hook to check when state.success changes. And when that changes, when state.success is true is when I'm socket.emitting this. This is not, this does not seem like the ideal way to me because basically, yeah, it seems a little bit weird because the state can be changed in that sense. And yeah, but this was working pretty well for me, so I kept the code. But if someone knows a better way to do this, please let me know. I'd love to take a better look at it. But state.success, when that's changing, when state.success is true, I'm basically emitting bet, and then it goes back, bet goes back to everyone from the server, and then we listen for the socket.on bet over here, and then when socket.onBet happens with changing the chips data, sending a new message, and then setting the port to the previous plus chips. The port has to be changed for every single user. And then if the user who bet is the current user, then we change the user's chips to this. I'm doing this because I want to set the max chips of the slider dynamically. That's why I was doing that. This code is open source. I'll link the GitHub down. So if you want to take more look into it, you can look into that as well. But basically that's what happens. So yep, that's what's happening with that, and same works with take as well. Take form as well. Um, yeah, pretty much similar code. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to cover today. Not anything like learning content, I guess, but interesting. It was like an interesting project to work on. Had like a few roadblocks in the way because I wanted to experiment with form actions, but uh, using that with React hook form was a little bit weird. It had like a bunch of boilerplate code I had to copy. Uh, but like maybe in the future form actions becomes good enough, or good enough in my eyes, that I could use it without using React hook forms, and the DX isn't that much of an issue at that point. But experiment with it. It's a very good feature, and very interested to see where NextJS goes with the React community, and also where React goes with the React 19 which came up. It's looking very impressive. So yeah, that's it for video with this video. Like I said, the GitHub link will be down below. You can go and check out the repository and clone it. Maybe you want to use it with your friends if you don't have focus chips of your own. So yep, that's it. I'll come back with new videos. Oh, also, if you have any video recommendations, please let me know. Please put it down in the comments, or you can send me a mail. Lot of people send me mail with questions of their own. I try to respond to as many as possible. I don't get that many that it's not possible to respond to everyone, but yeah, just comment below the video and then let me know if you want a video on something hopefully pertaining to React. Um, because I don't want to go too far away from the purpose of this channel or the theme behind this channel. But yeah, something regarding web dev, I'm happy to cover. So yep, that's it for this video. See you in the next video. Goodbye.